Do we have David here? Can you do your camera, David? Let's get you up on the screen.
Can you hear me?
We can. Look at
Hey,
that handsome guy. I like your beard.
Yeah, thanks. I'm growing out some. I'm gonna make some really cool dreads or something. I don't know. It doesn't grow.
I trim mine back for this event, right?
It doesn't grow here, but it grows here. So I'm gonna try and challenge myself.
Thank you for joining.
Before Mexico, can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yep. Good to go.
Yeah. All right. Cool. My name is David Gaskin, President, Founder, Native American Church of Turtle Island. Currently, I'm in Mexico, pretty much far down the state of Mexico and the state of Morelos. I'm on the border near there. We have an office in different communities that have offices and space for us to gather and co-create. We have councils of co-creators for the church in different communities. I'm going to start off with a traditional greeting. I'm Anishinaabe in French, and normally when we share things like this in our work, it's good to say a prayer and announce who we are and where we're from and that stuff. So it's just to be able to build a better relationship who we are. Anin Buju, Anishinaabe, Bijik Gigiaki, and Dijnakas, Bawating and Duchneba, Ojijak, and Dodum. I'm Anishinaabe. My name is the one with the earth. I come from the place up in the Rapids, which is the border of Canada and Michigan, Sault Ste. Marie. I'm from a federally recognized tribe up there, born and raised on a reservation on the border. My grandma was a matriarch of our tribe back in the 70s. She organized the communities and the local people, and she was able to get federal recognition and reservation status. And we have multiple casinos in different parts of the state, things like that. So I grew up as a little boy, literally born and raised. First, second house that was built on our reservation. I was like 4 months old when I moved in there. So for me, I got to grow up not only being mixed indigenous, I'm part French Canadian. My mom's French, my dad's Ojibwe, and I got to grow up on a reservation myself personally and witness like the community coming together and supporting each other, and like the cups of coffee around the table, in the garage somewhere, like I saw that happen as a little boy. We didn't have no Indian school until I was in like 5th grade or something, you know what I mean? And the first 2 years of our school, we didn't even have a curriculum. It's like they were just like, I asked why we didn't have English class, and they were like, well, you speak English, so you passed. So I was like, cool, man. Like as a little kid, you're like, all right, we're done. So I got to see like grassroots stuff and things that are just like, down, what you say, down to earth, not like out there. It's like literally when you see the communities come together and, that's been a part of my life. That's who I am. I went to college for a few hours. I didn't like it. And I just started getting hands-on and experience and working for companies. And, when I was in my 20s, I started working for a company and opening shoe stores, $1 million shoe stores. I was opening, no beard, had a suit and tie and everything. I was doing my thing. Got to learn business, and understand like, where I am, business-wise, intellectually, what am I capable of? So I applied, being in those meetings with my grandmother as a little boy, because I sat and just listened. She used to braid sweetgrass. My grandma was blind. So she'd be just telling me, just listen, just listen. They all the board of directors, the council members, I just had to listen to them and listen to the structure of the councils and stuff. So that stuck with me ever since I was a little kid. Anyways, what I'm currently doing is, as Nathan mentioned before, he and I, we've been working together for a few years or so. Prior to that, I've worked with some other Native American churches, different groups of people that were activists, and I was at Standing Rock. I went to multiple different like events, ceremonies, and learning different indigenous communities, not just Anishinaabe. It's like, for me, my challenge has always been like, how do I help people if I don't know how to like help myself first, like, on a basic level. Like I was overweight when I came to Mexico. I changed my diet. I lost 60 pounds. You know what I mean? Like I started diving into other indigenous cultures and traditions and opening up my mind more, because like I never traveled outside of the United States, other than like a little bit into Canada. And I started doing like longest walks and things with the A movement and different people in different groups. Amazing experience, beautiful people. And it just opened up my curiosity or my blood memory, to continue, investigating who I am as an indigenous person, what's inside of my DNA. Because we have, my grandma used to tell me, we have blood memory. You know who you are. Your blood remembers all that information over time, stores up. So that's the way I understood. So to release that, I saw what Indian country didn't have, and then I also got to leave Indian country and come to like Mexico and Canada, and go around the U.S. and see what we're all kind of missing. Yeah, like the unity was like number one, like unity. We don't have that, but what we do have in common is we're all sick. Colonialism has made us all sick. Whether we believe it or not. As if we call ourselves traditional, then we don't hate each other. We don't even see differences in each other. We go by our walk. How we interact with each other on a physical level, and in our presence, like proper greetings is an example. Coming with offerings to an elder for a teaching. That's the stuff that we promote, and working with respect with traditional medicines, cultures, languages, and helping restore that, creating an organization for that to even start. Man, how do you activate these projects in communities that don't? I've been to Indian communities that don't have no leaders. Like there's no council. Like some of the places I go in, there's the military don't go, federal police don't go. There's a lot of people that just don't go because there's no quote unquote structure, which in their minds creates security, a form of security. So me, I believe God, the creator God, and Get You Man and Dude's got my back. So I'm in it with good intention. So I go into those communities and I talk with them. I help gather them. I have translators, amazing people that help. Like I'm just like everybody. I'm from the res, man. Like I'm not like the best person to understand sometimes, because like I come from a concentration camp for Indians, man. Like we had a picture of a cow on a can called beef, when the government gave us food and cheese, from the guy. I remember that stuff, and abuse in the school. I experienced that as well, So me seeing those faults, in a system or a structure of society, and going and seeing how other communities are set up, even in other languages, because that's even better, because I get to see, more cultures, cultural ways of being, and how to implement that structure too. And so I've been going around and picking pieces and through my experiences, and I put together an organizational structure and plan that here in Mexico, let me explain, they don't have much organization at all, really. If you've been here, I'm surprised I'm able to make this call, really. Like it's not organized very much. It's just enough. And if you know Mexico very well, like me and some of the people I work with, there's tons of corruption based on lack of organization. To organize, you have to trust, you have to respect each other some, you know what I mean? You have to be able to come together and unite for something bigger, i.e. like this project. So what I'm doing is I have a structure. This is in Spanish. I speak English, so I'll just tell you what it says. But I go to the communities, and this is a council, and this right here is the center council of the community, president, treasurer, secretary, which we call as a council of co-creators. And also included with these three people are four more people, which is a grandmother, a grandfather, a youth representative under the age of 20, and a community representative. So there's 7 people that actually direct the community for the church, for that represent us there. Yeah. So the little blue dots, those are all the different departments. I'll get into those, but I can just tell you, we have a legal part, which in the legal part we have the access to lawyers, notaries, titles and asset stuff. So here in Mexico, the movement for like land back, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the land back hashtag on Facebook, but here in Mexico, they're actually like giving the land back. It's not talk. It's in Spanish, but a lot of people in the U.S. they don't. It's not in English, so it doesn't relate to me. But as a person who lives here, works directly with the communities, I met the president of this country. He has I work with the Federal Congress of the Indigenous here. I work with multiple different councils, dance councils, all sorts of different elders, spiritual youth. So anyways, I'll get back into this, but we have this presentation. I go in, me and our translators, and I show them how to organize that council. And then we have bylaws, which are reglamentos in Spanish. So it gives them like how do you say, like a plan, you know, like, well, what do we do when there's all 7 of us together? We just sit around and have tacos? No. Well, you can, but you got work to do. So I show them what that work really is and how to organize and structure that work to where it has potential, obviously, to do professional things, not just nationally, but internationally. So our network, it's UNRED, which is network in Spanish. We're able to take that network of all these councils. So if you have 20 towns and they all have 7 people, do the math, 140 people. Now we have a grand council for the church here in Mexico, NACTI, and in Spanish it's La Iglesia Nativa Americana de Isla Tortuga. So we believe that our Mother Earth is Mother Earth, not obviously not Father Earth. The turtle represents the sacred feminine, the women, 13 moons, i.e. your women's menstrual cycle is all connected. Women carry the sacred water and are from the earth. So if you look on the back of a turtle, it's got 13 shapes on there and 28 around the edge. So all of our indigenous cultures had very similar, or if not the same, concepts and ways of thinking about how we were connected as spiritual beings and the earth and the sky. So back in the old times, just before, like as colonization was really beginning here and conquistadors landed, they used the church jurisdiction, the Catholic Church. There's many different types of churches. Church is just a word like NBA for basketball. There's many different teams for the NBA. You see what I'm saying? So Native American church, we have many different types of churches, yeah, that are Native American. So as an issue, Anishinaabe, we don't have like peyote. We don't have medicines and stuff. What made the Native American church and known in the 1890s, and everybody knows it through peyote use, which is a sacred grandfather medicine in the desert. I met with them. I participated in a peyote ceremony 3-4 years ago. I haven't touched alcohol since. So I know as a personal experience to respect these medicines because they're here to help us. If you ask for it, with respect. It's one of our 7 teachings. So again, these are things that are in our Constitution. So you can go on our website. It's in Spanish and English, but nacturtleisland.org. You can go in there. We have an online store. My job is right now. It's a job. There's a lot of work that we put into this. We have a website that allows anybody to come in and make a donation, like right to the church. You can go in, you can see what projects we have, aligned communities and organizations. Through that, we're able to say, oh, well, the church community in, i.e., let's say Mexicali, they're a part of this project, you're right? Well, we're able to receive assistance, funds, however, any donations, contributions directly towards that project. You see what I'm saying? Or towards that community. And that community is set up for the church, obviously, with the 7 people to delegate and steward where those contributions, funds. People donate all kinds of stuff. If you know how churches work, people donate many things, different things, not just about money either. So my contribution is creating an organizational structure, and we have our own credentials. We have our IDs, which I travel around. I traveled into the US a few times with my church ID. It has all English and Spanish. It's got the laws on the back. We have all of our legal documents, obviously, to open bank accounts. We've done all these things a couple of years ago, about 1.5 years. We're relatively new as NACTI. But part of this is being able to organize the people, give them that service to organize, because they don't know how to do that. How are they supposed to make a decision about a project? Who do you ask? You know what I mean? If there's no organization, you can't ask nobody nothing. You just now you're hostile. Now you're gonna do aggressive stuff by going in there and just doing what you want. That's colonial. So basically what we're doing is we organize the people, show them benefits, like being able to legally identify yourself to carry medicine, sacred items, identify yourself in the Native American as an indigenous person, not a specific type, because we all have different types of languages, different types of indigenous communities. We all know this. So through our system, we're able to kind of organize that as well, give people titles like as medicine people, facilitators, administrators, cultivators. Here in Mexico, a lot of the communities, they're asking me to help them organize to cultivate cáñamo, which is industrial hemp. So that's one of the things. I'm meeting with 40 communities just now, 40 communities at one time, and doing presentations, and so they can receive resources to even get seeds. They don't even know where to get seeds. It's been illegal here for so long, and there's no structure here to be able to even do the research, you know. So, you know, they have to it's good to have somebody like me or our organization, because we already have those connections, that network available for them. So we can just plug them in, organize them, you know, and then just through that alone, they're gaining hope. You know, they're receiving their land back here. The communities are able to survey and satellite map their own territory, and being able to title that land as an indigenous title. See, because here in Mexico, the federal government, the president, recognized the
Hopefully we can get back on with the internet connection. Or maybe David's phone died. He said that he had about 23% on his battery left. Well, let me jump in real quick until his connection comes back in. And just say that in and amongst everything else, both him and I have been working on this effort for the Native American Church, like you mentioned, about 2 years. This is amongst trying to design Laguna Salada and Salton Sea restoration, and amongst doing COVID teaching with my children throughout the day, and in amongst my day job of trying to survive and keep things going. We had a comment here from Gabby. It says, Mr. Gaskin bridges a lot of concepts, as in a Ojibwe grandmother braided sweetgrass. He can understand the on-the-ground issues that tie the indigenous communities in our U.S.-Mexico region, second largest contribution in North America. Yeah, 5.1 million people. United Perceived Leadership co-created Grand Council of Communities to organize and achieve legal results for the local people, and thus help and share important native land stewardship principles and business plans that can benefit us all. Structure certainly is the basis of hope. Yeah, that's a great comment. Gabby, thank you for sharing that. And that's, if we talk about what's happening at this summit as a whole, what is missing in some cases is professional project management, right? And in any case, there needs to be an organizational factor that also ties in to the local community engagement and education, as Mr. Tortes eloquently described earlier. There needs to be an education component, and what myself and David are trying to do, I'm here as much time as I can spend in trying to help organize that. But you're absolutely right, Gabby. It's a template that people that don't have that template can benefit from us sharing it with them as a way to engage their representatives. You know, tribal groups that don't have representation, as David mentioned, are able to use the template to take things forward and to share their ideas with other people, but also to share their projects. Because you might have a community that's looking for a farm. They have all of the experience, they have all of the tools and technical ability. They just might need funding to get it from conception to operation. And that's kind of a bridge between ages, and our nonprofit church, the Native American Church of Turtle Island, is giving people the tools. And the tools are really difficult to come by, but that is ubiquitous to the United States as well. You know, tribal nations have a really hard time of getting the funding that they need for projects that they know that they want, but aren't able to get easily. So we have a proposal in for Northern California where they started building houses next to commercial, next to different things, and they've asked us to step in to prepare a master plan, just like the one that you see on your screen. It's not a binational master plan, but it's a community master plan. So it's down to the very basic scale of their city blocks, but the same technology that you've heard over the last 2 days and you'll hear today can be integrated into that community scale. So that's really, really important. Gabby, did you want to say something? Let me get you on the spotlight. Saw your hand raised over there. Go ahead. Oh, wait, you're muted still.
Okay, sorry. Just a question, because Mr. Gaskin mentioned a really fabulous, I'm not sure if I remember the hashtag land back. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, hashtag land back.
That's so amazing. And it kind of made me think of, you've been mentioning green jobs quite a lot, and in the Mexicali region, Sempra Energy is building a big wind plant. It would seem to me that in an organized way, land back could create kind of a connection. Maybe there's a corridor that could be created between Sempra and via native land back links to Laguna Salada that would help facilitate building. And I just wanted to add, because Laguna Salada would make a wonderful battery for renewable energy storage. In our just recently, it was 2020, no, the end of 2019, UNAM and 10 different universities in the United States, led by leading engineers, proposed, forget building a wall, let's make the border region a renewable energy development zone that would benefit both sides. And when they looked all along the border, which has a lot of wind, but having water is very important to serve as a battery. And when they saw both the Salton Sea and Laguna Salada, they said that this should really be the pilot project for cross-border renewable development, development of a renewables zone. I put up the link. It was published in Scientific American. It's a really cool project led by Purdue and and UCSD, where the meeting was hosted, as well as UNAM. Truly, but your point about the land back made me think that there might be perhaps a really important way to connect a corridor of indigenous land back fields to Sempra to facilitate more work with Sempra along on the battery storage side of things.
Let me mention that real quick too, because yeah, you can donate to a Native American church. I'm sure. I mean, that's the funny thing is, like David mentioned, property donations are equally as important because that's a financial mechanism. And I've said that so many times over the last 2 days that it gets boring. But the projects like this or projects in general require financial mechanisms. So property, land value is a way to monetize. And that's what David, he's been doing amazing work in Mexico. People are donating their land to the church because they entrust the church into acquiring and making those financial mechanisms possible to then benefit them. So they might make a contribution of their land. We're not saying you have to leave your land, stay on your land, steward your land, be that landowner that you've always been. We're going to help you though, by having it under our umbrella, help monetize it as a church, as a nonprofit. It then will allow you to still participate in exactly the same way and have a majority. I would say not even a majority, right, David? 100% of the profits go back to them.
Absolutely. Not only do they get the profits from it, but they also get jobs. See, that's the thing. As I mentioned before I got cut off, we're able to map and title the lands via satellite and mapping with Indigenous Congress, the federal government here. So we're able to actually survey, go back into this is amazing. This is like very unique work. I don't want to bounce all over the place in topic, but part of my work is being able to explore the old codices of the indigenous communities, which had all the records of their languages, their culture. I mean, all kinds of stuff, including maps, territorial maps of their indigenous towns. Like, for an example, I live in a town in Owete. Next to Owete is another little community, which is Clawikas, which is another indigenous, which is separate than the Nahuatl. So they're different languages, as a matter of fact, but they're neighbors and they speak different languages. So for a long time, they've been like, you know, obviously like we have a lot of rivalry and things. So a lot of that has happened because colonization set in. That's their thing, is to colonize by dividing, creating these divisions, and then fueling that too as well. So by going in and gaining the trust and working with the communities, just based on what we're doing and actual progress and actual results, you know, like I got communities literally where I show up with our group and our translators and stuff, and we organize the kids and the other people in the community to pick up trash. I got the government here, the president of the town here gave me, like, here they don't have counties, they have municipalities. Well, they gave me a letter in English and Spanish giving me permission to access these lands as the church and our membership to pick up the trash, sort the trash, you know, teach them how to recycle and do things with the trash. Show them that trash is also a resource. It's not just something you throw on the ground, which that's what they're taught. Which, you know, we can't judge or blame. I'm the church. I'm not a judge. I'm not the police. I'm religious, spiritual first. My focus is making spiritual decisions with integrity first for the preservation at hand, and being able to use that network of people and resources that we've developed over the last few years. My work last 5 years in Native American church period in the community. So by being able to help them organize and be able to title those lands, we're able to, again, get an asset value on that lands based on economic value as well. So if we implement a project on there, that titled land, let's say a whole town, like I have whole towns that join us here. So that whole town actually can get onboarded into a banking system as well, where again, they organize their own council. We're just kind of like consultants. We help them. We bring stuff to them, what they need. We're the helpers. So we don't have to take. If people want to donate to us, they want to donate. That's cool for our services, our time, gas money, all these things to go and do stuff. You know, it all does have a monetary expense. But when we get, we're supposed to also give. So part of us as a nonprofit religious organization is being able to separate all these different projects and organize them so they can receive, you know, all sorts of resources, all sorts of things. You know, what about the companies that are here? All the trash that's on the ground, that's from those companies that made it and sold it. And then the people bought it, ate it, threw it on the ground. Now, whose property is that? You know, that trash that's on the ground, you know? So we should be able to ask them to help us. We are, like I said, we're a tax exempt nonprofit. They can make a donation instead of paying a crazy amount of taxes. They can donate to the church or directly towards these projects. And they also have an opportunity on our website to pick what they want to donate to. So when you make a donation, you just type in your description and all that stuff of, I'd like to donate to this project or to this community for these things. So we have a calendar of events and ceremonies locally and globally on the website. Due to the website's relatively new as our organization is as well, and we're developing every day and you're growing. Pandemic hit us at the same time we launched our website. So we don't have anything currently on our calendar of events, but we're adding to that as in the next month or so. So we're doing a lot at once. So people should be able to go on there and have access to different things all over. You know, imagine being a member of something and you have access to like safe, responsible, medicinal people that are real, not cultural appropriators. You know, we know all different things and communities have their own issues internally and stuff, which is normal for communities. It's normal. That's how we respond and handle them and give a teaching in the end, yeah, from how to handle it for next time. So I myself, I'm young. I'm just like everybody else. I'm learning. So you know, that's all I can say on that. So.
David, let me just jump in real quick, because you were saying talking about just the trash, you know, cleanups. We had that discussion in our day one event. We were talking about making and creating the mechanisms for that being a high paying job, just like anything else.
Yeah.
Right. Like there needs to be a funding mechanism that makes that viable. And Andrea Neal with Bring Back the Blue mentioned that. She is creating that as part of her platform to also tokenize it with digital currency and things like that. But having that be part of what David's been doing in the church and for the communities is really, we're trying to fundraise to give them something that helps them and also give them a wage, right? If we can actually employ people to clean trash or to clean up their neighborhood, just like Mr. Zamora is doing with the Sonoran Institute, that creates the community. And David might not have been able to join, but the Sonoran Institute is doing that in Mexicali. David's doing that in other regions around Mexico and in central Mexico. And that's a platform that this project might be able to bring, or the church, or a culmination of all of these agencies, to El Centro, to Salt City, to regions around this. But more than that, it's a global discussion.
Effort. Right? Yeah, it's amazing. Like I don't want to be rude and say, when you visit a ton of communities, you start seeing things that are very like connected and similar, and like society has its own weird similarities. Languages are not. It doesn't matter. I was raised on a tribe, so I watched the development of a governmental system, federal and state, and how they interact and all that stuff. I got to experience that. So when I come into a community, I look at specific things. I look at like, whoa, sorry about that. I'm just pulling out of the mechanic. Anyways, so when I go into communities, I look at the structure. I look at like, what are the things that are needed? What are the problems? Can we make it better? How can we do that? Like comparing it to growing up in the States and traveling to these communities and everything, that's like a lot of what I do. And you know what I mean? In a good way, approaching the people, because you can't go into somebody's house and tell them it's dirty and to clean it. That's really rude, So like you have to come in a really good, in a good way, is being humble and not disrespecting, somebody else's home by just entering it. That's very colonial, and that's why a lot of these communities don't work with, work with organizations or even organizing locally anymore, because they lost that trust. You know what I mean? Because of people just taking and, exploiting that land for corporate interests and stuff, people forming fake councils and selling off somebody else's property is what happens down here. I see it. So I witness it. I have people come and give me testimonies on it. So I have to learn from that myself as part of my job here, is, learning the society actually and how it works. So, one second, we're going to park right now. Sorry. Anyways.
Let me jump in real quick, because somebody put in the comments here. It says, Sierra Pret, this is specific to Laguna Salada. I know both of us are really working hard with the Kukapa members to try and build, maybe a demonstration area with them, but this one's specific to large scale infrastructure. It said Sierra Preto geothermal power plant creates about 840 megawatts of electricity, 240 megawatt FES, which is pumped hydroelectric storage, can be created on Kukapa land, sell power during high demand, water uphill during low demand, more FES for the west side of Laguna Salada in conjunction with massive wind fields there. So, even to that kind of conversation, that isn't something that our church or David or anybody would impose. That's just an opportunity to say, is there a need, want to restore maybe part of the mountain with a habitat, right? Like a freshwater or saltwater marsh up on top of your mountain. Is that something of interest? We can help with the services and bring that forward if interested, right? And so that's a different approach. Like David mentioned, you don't go into somebody's house and tell them that their house is dirty. It's more like, would you be interested in this? What do you need? And what do you need becomes how we can help. Do you need help with education? Do you need help with, as you mentioned, hemp farming? Do you need help with food farming production? And that's where I really formed Ages, and that's where we kind of co-founded the Native American Church. I have to say that this is all David's work, but I'm trying to help as much as I can. But that is the thing where you're not in an imposition standpoint. You're in you're offering your services. We are a nonprofit, or we're a for-profit B Corp with ages, but we act like a nonprofit group because we're just more interested in getting projects installed for the people there, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, David, as far as the imposition or just services, because I know it could be a turnkey service where you could say, what do you need? Or at least what we've described over the last 2 days and today, what do you need? We can get those people in to help you, right?
Absolutely, like being able, like, again, having those federal transparency numbers, and to be able to work with SAMs and different federal grants, and having opportunities to be able to even just explore that and apply it to communities that don't have anything, period. You know what I mean? Like, and to show them how to organize to be able to utilize, even if it's not a lot of money either, they don't have any. So dollars to pesos is amazing on that, and just on that note. So when you come and start working, bilateral or binational, or, on the border, like with Salton Sea, Laguna Salada project, it will, I don't want to, it will stimulate all of the economies. Only, I can't even say only because of one thing, because there's so many things involved in this. And looking at other projects around Mexico myself, like visiting communities, people show me current projects, people that they're doing, people show me plans on paper, proposals, people show me, like, I got indigenous people that take me up in the mountains and, like, with their finger point to properties that they want to do stuff on. And I have to have 3 translators with me to translate from Spanish to an indigenous language, from an indigenous language over to English, for me to understand. So it's like, sometimes it's like, and to organize everybody and align everybody and show the unity just through the ability to communicate for projects. I want, me personally, if I grew up, like I said, on a tribe, we have a lot of casinos. I never got into the business part of my tribe because I didn't like the gambling and what it brought, like addictions and about all kinds of stuff, open up doors, things to, like, pull you away from your culture and things like that. So I got away from that personally, like that type of business. But I wanted to get into business and, like, do something more than sell shoes or do something. I want to do something that was for my land. I didn't go to college. I went for a little bit, but I didn't learn anything. I didn't feel like it was for me. But I feel a connection to the earth, and I see things that, like, just I see, if we were to do maybe this and this, and the results could be this. I see it like that in the different communities, and by seeing the business, like, we planted, I just went and met with a community. We planted 300 aloe plants. They only had a little bit of money. They went and got all these materials, and then they brought all of them up on top of a mountain. But now every day they have to carry water up the mountain because they don't have a reservoir. They don't have resources to build something to, like, pump water up to the top of the hill. So there's a mountain community, so the water has to get there, and they have to bring it. They carry them buckets on their shoulders. So, like, just helping them build a water reservoir or something, you know what I mean, and help them with the irrigation part, and being able to do that is, like, to them is, like, mind-blowing, because nobody helps them with anything. They have to do it themselves here, so you don't want to come in, like, as, like, some cocky, arrogant person who's lived with all everything, like, you can take as many showers as you want, you can drink the water out of your faucet, when all that stuff goes out the door, and you sleep in the dirt, with the same people, on their land, and you become very humble to how, how they live, because they didn't have what you had, or myself, so it really inspired me just on seeing a little project, and there's no difference than a big project, and I feel like if we're gonna give money and we're gonna give land back, we might as well also include organization, structure, hope, spirituality, language, culture. Why don't we include identity with it for these people? You can't just give them money. Hell, to go build a casino like my tribe did, and then turn the people into drunks. Not all of them are that way. But I was a little kid. I was a little kid taking the people, my going in there as a little boy, seeing people who were addicted to gambling and, having all those experiences. It's not that we don't need money. It's that we need to also give stewardship, like, with the money and through organizing, and same with the land. You can't just give the people these things and then, expect them to do good when they don't know how to even handle it. Yeah. So organizing is for me, has been the forefront,
Yeah. No, and I wanted to say like a project, even just cleaning up trash or installing a water well or a water pipe or something like that gives a sense of ownership to the community. So you could talk a little bit, and then I think we're going to jump into another topic. But you know, your structure and your thoughts right now is to build and create little community centers within each of the places that you're at or going, but also empowering places that you're not at or going to do the same thing, right? Whether it's a coffee shop or a place to learn about these different things, the internet or the website could be a host of information that other places could plug into. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the branches of the church, and then we'll talk about a couple other things before we jump on to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. What we've been doing is going into the different communities, and because when we open up an office there in that community, we also want it to be self-sustaining. We don't want to just like get money and pay for all these things, and then it comes out of a bigger fund that could actually fund a huge project. Get it? So having an office, and then example, what we're doing with is we're opening up a little coffee shop, and then we're also doing tours like eco-tourism. So Antonio, our translator, and he's also our community representative there. They have horses, they have properties. His family is literally like all around us. So we're able to go directly to them and ask them, hey, can we make a tour going through your guys' property so we can show the beauty, you know, and help people connect. A lot of times people come out here I live in the woods. I just happen to be in the town right now to get signal, honestly, and to fix the truck. That's why I'm able to make this call. But where I'm at over there, it's not that easy. You know what I mean? Like that's why I like this is like if we can make it work. Mexico's like one of the most unorganized places amongst many others. But if we can make something work here and show hope, that's the seed, man. That's the seed. You know, like I remember wishing for projects and things like that. So when we connect all of these little offices and we give them a business to work with, because we're a religious corporation, we can also do business too. So we're like, it gives the people a draw. They come in, have a cup of coffee, they get a little bit of information on the church. Maybe not. Maybe they just want to have some coffee and get some internet. I don't know. You know what I mean? But at least they have an opportunity and access to us, and we're in the public. We're not like I go to places where they don't have internet. You know, how are they supposed to go on our website if they don't have internet? You know what I mean? So I actually have to go grassroots, boots to the ground kind of thing, and go literally to them myself and connect them and show them how we're connected. So it's interesting. It's an interesting task, mission, work, however you want to call it, job. I don't know, but it's my life. So I just making all these little communities and connecting them all together. And if it's just one little thread, you know, I want it to be a really strong thread. You know what I mean? That's how I feel it. Like you got fishing line and then you got like fabric. I want it to be like the strongest line ever that nobody can break, and it connects us all together. So then we're all equals, but we're still separate. We're sovereign, you know, but we're also together. You know, it's like we share the planet together, but we should also be connected, you know, through that individual sovereignty, you know, and being able to be equals and organize ourselves to even communicate when we have a problem. Who do you ask when you have a problem when you don't have a city council or a town council? You know, you're just like stuck in the bushes, man. Like it's really hard. I'm not kidding. So being able to just go in and organize is a service and connecting all of them. And one idea of self-sustainability, whether it be a coffee shop for the church office, it shows those people like 2 or 3 that are helping me and working directly alongside of me.
Oh, I think we dropped off again.